Good morning. Welcome to our morning meditation. I hope you're having a strong morning, a morning that's filled with motivation and love and healing in this time that we are reflecting on the life of George Floyd and his death this past Monday. Today, we'll be focusing on believing with hope. And I invite you to join me today as we reflect on these words from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Journal, 1832. I have complained that the acknowledgment of God's presence halts far behind the fact. What is intended to be but the tribute to one without whose movings no tribute can be paid for, no tributary can be. One without whom no man or beast or nature subsists. One who is the life of things, and from whose creative will our life and the life of all creatures flow every moment, wave after wave, like the successive beams that every moment issue from the sun. Such is God, or he is nothing. What is God but the name of the soul at the center by which all things are what they are, and so our existence is proof of his. We cannot think of ourselves and how our being is intertwined with his without awe and amazement. As I say to you every morning when we do these reflections, in many traditions it is believed that if you speak out loud your wish or your offering of goodwill into the universe, that it gives it power and strength. Our voice is something that we use every day for lots of things. And I encourage you to use your voice in this moment to voice what you are offering today. Today, I make as our offering the memory and the life of George Floyd. I offer up today his family and friends. I offer up today the city of Minneapolis. I offer up today our black siblings who are struggling and live in fear every day. I offer up our black mothers who fear for their children, especially their boys. I offer up those who died at the hands of police due to racial bias and racism. I offer up those who are mourning the death of a man that was unnecessary. I offer up those who are rallying in the streets of Minneapolis and around the world when we fight and struggle for justice. I offer up today those who are struggling to have their voice heard amid this health crisis. I offer them up that they be held in safety, that they use good judgment, and they protect themselves. Today, I offer up all of those who are struggling with understanding when there is no understanding for the loss of a life of a man at the hands of injustice. And now I invite you to speak your truth, your will, and your offering into the world, giving it strength and power as we come together in community to build each other up and to show our unity in love and compassion. I invite you to name your intention and offering out loud in the space you're in, and to also share it in the comments with us as we grow and continue to live in community at this time. We speak of those that we carry in our heart as a sign that we are connected together across this country and anywhere that we are in the world, that we can be in unity together. And whether you have made your intention known or unknown, I now bind that intention that you hold in your heart with the love and strength and unity of this community gathered today. Now, I'll invite you to readjust your body. I invite you to find a space where you can reflect. Today we'll be reflecting on some music, and I invite you to find a space where you can maybe listen to this in your own space. But as we do that, we'll start by doing some stretching, as always, because I do believe that meditation and reflection is a full bodied, embodied experience. When we think of meditation, it should not only engage the mind or the soul, but the body, mind, and soul. So we'll start as we generally do with our hands in prayer position. I invite you to, if you're able, to sit up a little bit straighter, to elongate your back, to bring your hands over your head, and to push your shoulders and your elbows back a little bit. So that way you feel some tension across your chest, some tightening of your shoulder blades as you just hold for just a moment. And I invite you now to drop your arms down and wide across your side. Again, pushing your arms back as far as you can and letting your shoulders tense up. Lots of us carry our stresses and our shoulders. I know I do. So let that tense up and your chest be open. And then bring your arms down to your side. We'll now stretch our neck a little bit in our head. So pull your neck over to your side. Give it a little stretch. Just apply just a little bit of pressure. Hold it. And then release and come back to center. Do the again on the other side. Come back to center. Again, if you haven't moved yet, I invite you to find a space where you are comfortable and able to engage this meditation. As many of you know, when I'm struggling with something, I turn to either music or science fiction for both hope and for meditation and reflection. Science fiction gives me a space to, leave this kind of realm of reality and leave the realness of something aside and to look at possibility, also to look at how we engage the world from a different viewpoint. So that's one way that I do it. And the other way I do it is through music. And music is something that often gives me space to reflect in a way that it can inspire hope or can make me cry or can bring me into a space where it's just pure joy. And so today, I would like to offer up and to bring to you music from the musical The Prince of Egypt. It's performed by the West End Company, and it's the song When You Believe. The song offers hope and reminds us to hope. And the song gives us a time and reflection to believe in hope for humanity and for justice and for struggle, that there's a space out there in the world for each of us. And it reminds us that there's lots of times when that struggle is really hard to see, that hope is really hard to see, that we're able to, not engage in it, right? And when we have something that happens like this that brings, national attention to, the struggle of of minorities, people of color, specifically Black men in America, it's really sometimes really hard to to hope, right? It just weighs on all of us. It weighs on us whether we're you know Caucasian, and you know we struggle with trying to be allies and be supportive, and sometimes say the wrong things and put our foot in our mouths, and all of that scenario, and really don't know how to help, and that can bring a sense of hopelessness. If you're a person of color, you feel like you just can't win sometimes. You get to a place where you're struggling and you're trying to figure out how do you make this all work so that you can just live in peace, so that you can just celebrate your life. And that hope is sometimes hard to find. And so this song for me is a space where, it helps to remind us that if we believe in something that's greater than us, as individuals, right? If we believe in our families and society, in our culture, in our in the beauty of who we are, if we believe in the divine, our Emerson quote today was, or the question was, how do you see the divine? And if we can, at some point, in some way, look at the divine as something that is inside each and every one of us, then how could we, you know, set out to aim to hurt people? Or how could we set out to allow racism, xenophobia, and other, structures of oppression sit out there? So I ask you to, during this time, to, believe in something that's greater than yourself. Believe in something that connects us all, that connects us with the divine in each and every one of us. If we could start to see that, we could conquer all of these um, injustices that we suffer. And so, I ask you to listen to this music, to reflect on it. Um, this music comes from the story of slaves in Israel, in Egypt, and the struggle of the Israelites. And I ask us to listen to this song as a means of inspiration, of reflection on the struggle of the Israelites, and in what they had to go through in order to achieve freedom, and how we can reflect on their strength, on their love of community, their love of the divine, their love of each other, and how they brought hope into the world. And so, as we go into this meditation, we will do that. And as always, I always ask you to breathe as we start to go into our meditation time. But today I'm going to ask you to do something a little different. Today I'm going to ask you to reflect on 3 words and to build those 3 words into a mantra and into a sign of respect for the lives that have been lost at the hands of police unjustly, the lives that have been lost uh, by at the hands of anyone based on racism or any type of hate crime. To remember how important breath is. To remember that it is through our breath that we engage all that we do. So I invite you to not to breathe deeply with me, but to engage in this mantra. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And as you reflect on that mantra today, and you listen for those 3 words, remember that you do have breath, and from your breath comes your voice. And so I invite you to say with me, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
This is When You Believe. It's, of course, a song from the film. And during the song, the Hebrew tribes are celebrating their freedom and their deliverance from bondage in Egypt.
Many nights we've prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proved
Rest in peace and be not forgotten. I invite you now into a time of silence and reflection. I invite you into a time when you reflect on the music that we just heard, the idea of hope and how do we find hope and where do we believe in it. I invite you to remember the lives of those who have been lost at the hands of injustice as we reflect in silence. I also ask you to reflect in the memory of George Floyd and all that is lost with his death. And may we say together, blessed be. I want to thank you for being here today. I want to invite you to speak your voice. I want to invite you to today take some time to reflect on Black lives. I want you to invite you to take some time on reflecting on your own racial bias, whether or not you're a person of color or you know, or not, or somebody who's Caucasian, but to take some time today to reflect on words you've used in the past, um, ideologies you've had, how you've had to change that. I invite you to share that in the comments of this meditation. I invite you to share that on social media, to reflect on how you can engage and reflect on, your own and my own feelings and struggles when it comes to race, when it comes to, any type of xenophobia. Invite you to seek out uh, people of color groups and ally groups, depending on which category you fit in, and to really engage those spaces today and over the next few weeks to come. I invite you to hold it out and to hold on to anyone who has died at the hands of police or any other type of injustice that is, been motivated by just, you know, lack of humanity or lack of compassion, um, such as that. I invite you, as always, to share your reflections with me. To, if you have any intentions that you would like to offer, to share those, or if you have a spiritual practice you would like to share or have me share, to please let me know. Today, as we close our time together, I really ask you to say to me, with me, and say together, that we truly do believe that there is something of hope out there that is greater than us. That during this time of unrest, unknowing, great sadness, that we send peace into the world. That we recognize that the divine and goodness resides in all of us. As we say together, that we believe in the, the goodness of every person. And may we wish goodwill upon all people as we say together, Amen, Amin, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, and blessed be.